All right, dog. Come.
Happy Wine Wednesday.
Come on, man. Jeez. Happy Wine Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wine Wednesday.
Oh.
Grab your drinks.
Get your drink. Fight your dog. Let's do this. All right, it is Wine Wednesday, just like every Wednesday for the last almost year. Dude, what are you doing? We gotta figure you out. So, we have a dog distraction going on. This guy is...
Stop.
He's going through a lot today. We're going through a lot today, aren't we, bud? Aren't we? And so we are going through a lot, and he's bringing out all my insecurities. I just wanted things to be good. I just wanted
to be alone. Things are
Please, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me on the show. Brings out all the ideas of the stuff that we are going to be talking about tonight, but we need your help. But first, there might be some people who've never seen any of these. Even though we're coming up on 50 episodes, some people may have never heard of one of these. What are the rules?
So the rules are, every time you see a sassy look from this guy, we drink. So, cheers. And so this is our personal development drinking game. So that's how we play it. If you see a sassy look, call it out. Put up an emoji for cheer glasses. Put drink in the comments.
Yeah.
I usually can't see them, but then we drink because I don't have my glasses. But
we'll figure it out. If you do the emojis, we can see the emojis from here, so that's good.
Yes, I see colors.
We see.
You see shapes, I see colors. So here we go.
And that's the fun of this game. I usually come from the everything is a choice perspective. I go as logical and straight line as I can, but I don't always include a lot of emotion into my perspectives. Andrea comes with the emotion in the heart that gets into the soul of people to say, did you consider it this way? So give us a good contrast of the topics that we get into. And tonight is a tough one. And it's one that plagues almost all of us. I think that everybody at some point in time has this creep in on them. What's up, Eddie? Hey, my mama. What's up, Jess Jinju? Welcome. Ben Pearson. Welcome, my brother. So happy to have you guys on here, and I want you guys to interact a lot. The more that you guys bring out your stuff, the better the video gets because it actually matters to you. And that's the point of Everything is a Choice. It's the point of Remember to Breathe. It's the point of all the things that we get into for you. So, insecurities. This is a tough one. This is a scary one for people to get into. So
it really is, and I think that, everyone has insecurities. I don't think I've ever met one person that doesn't.
Well, I think you do something fun. You did the definition of insecurities. You looked up the definition.
Yeah, because I always like the definition. So the definition of insecurity is the uncertainty or anxiety about oneself, lack of confidence. So it doesn't need to be a total lack of confidence, but it can be a lack of confidence in a certain area of your life, or what area of your life would really be it. Mm-hmm. And so tonight, that's what we talk about. What are some of the insecurities that, are we talking about our own? I'd like you to talk about yours. I'm not going to talk about mine, and then we'll dive into Just kidding. But yeah, that's kind of where we'll start off.
We get into some healing.
Yeah, and it's good. I think identifying what your insecurities are, and then once they've been identified, and sometimes those are the little voices in the back of our mind that we don't want to push forward to get them out. Mm-hmm. I know that's also a fair statement.
Yeah.
But once you bring them to the front, put them out, now you can deal with it and try to figure out, now that I know that this is an insecurity of mine, now where do I go from here? So tonight, Rick likes to always throw me right out the gate and say, so tell us about yours. So tonight we're going to start with him.
All right, ask the questions. I'm ready. Let's go for it.
Okay, so we are going to, I want you to talk to us about some of the insecurities that maybe you have had to deal with.
Hey, Ray. I'm glad that you run. Good job doing your miles.
He's doing so good running.
Yes, very proud of you. Good stuff. Give me a probing question. You're like, what are your insecurities? It's kind of like what's your favorite? What are foods you like? It's very broad. Help me narrow this down. Get in a little deeper.
So, what are some of the insecurities that you've had to deal with?
I think that as far as insecurities you have to deal with, there's stuff you grow up with. I think that when it comes to rejections, or when it comes to self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, it comes into the thing where you look and go, am I really truly good enough? Were the people who influenced me growing up, some of the people, were they right? Were the negative opinions correct? And I can't say that I know anybody who hasn't been met with a lot of these like negative emotions put on you. I know that I've had that. I know growing up, my dad was a pretty tough customer. We've had some very difficult things that happened growing up. And it does create a lot of where, what we talked about always when we had videos before, self-doubt. It starts making the doubt inside of you manifest into other stuff. And that's really what happened, is you would hear over and over again how you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're a piece of shit, you're not going to be well, who's going to listen to you, what does it matter anyways? And you start to doubt whether what you're doing matters or doesn't matter. And it's where I think a lot of stuff comes from now, and I think that there's a lot of awareness that came in. I had to pay attention a lot to myself because I was hurting on a lot of stuff. I really was. I was hurting on a lot of stuff, and I was afraid often, and I think that a lot of fear manifested into aggression. A lot of fear manifests into rage. I think there's an incredible Hulk still inside of me from a lot of the upbringing, things that were extremely over the top, whether it be like abusive or neglectful, and things that cause that kind of pain that makes it so when something's not the way you want it to be, you just want to smash it. And so there's those things inside you have to work through to be aware when the Incredible Hulk is going to turn your skin green and start making you so you smash everything around you. So pretty much taming the Hulk has been one of the biggest things. I've had to get over a lot of the fears that make me panic into destruction, whether it be self-destruction or outward destruction. Mm-hmm. That was a big journey. I had to go through that to my late teens and early 20s to try to not be a psychopath.
Right. So once you were able to identify those things, then what did you do with that information? Like, how did you know, like, okay, these are some of the things that I'm struggling with, but I have to choose to move forward? And then, so that's my first question. Where do you go from there? My second question is, do you ever find those things creeping back in and paying you a surprise visit? Like, guess what? I'm back, knocking on your door. And then how do you handle that?
Yeah. Well, I think that the thing that I did is something that almost anybody can identify with, which the first step to be able to go, oh, I have these demons, is to put them in a nice little jar. I'm going to cover that up, and then I'm going to put another box on top of that box, and then I'll put another box on top of it, and we don't talk about the box.
Yeah.
And then I put all those boxes in my little mountain that I cover up, and I fill it up so that way nothing bad will ever happen.
That's what you do?
But what happens with that mountain? The mountain turns into...
I never uncovered mine, I don't know.
Oh,
Just
yeah?
kidding.
The mountain turns into the volcano. And so when it starts volcanoing out, and that's when like the pressure builds from all that stuff that you keep packing down and keep trying to deny it sitting in there, and that's when the hurt and the fear manifests out, and that's what happened. And so yeah, that's pretty much what ended up happening. Is you start building up until you just turn into I guess like you're a hair trigger away from blowing up at any time on anybody for the smallest stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of aggression, a lot of violence, a lot of fights, a lot of stupid stuff that would happen growing up that, it manifested in the worst ways.
So, right, but how did you now go through, how are you now to the point where, again, you've recognized those things, but you've moved past it? Like, what does that process look like? What are some of the things that you had to tell yourself to get past those things?
What I ended up focusing on was what I want to be, and so I took pages out of role models that I had in my life. My uncle Randy, for example, my stepdad Ray. Like, there are people who I saw in my life who were massive influences on the kind of guy that I want to be. And so I would see the people who had the traits that I wanted to have, and I would focus on being more like that instead of being what I was taught I'm supposed to be. And I really do believe that like going through the really difficult moments really is what gave me the idea of that everything is a choice. And sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to recognize I don't want to go there. So where do I want to go? And I really focused on what I want to be and what my best version of myself would be and what would future me say about this. Like I do weird things like that where like what would a person who's already solved this problem say to me about that? You know, I know it's a thought process that may be like abstract for a lot of you because you're like, I'm really in the moment right now, you know, and like, well, what would future you is going to be like? You handle it fine. You get over this. This is not a big deal in a year. Calm down. Like, and so I think about that a lot actually. I think about like future me, how would I handle this? And then future me is like, dude, you don't even think about this. You don't even register this in your day anymore. So chill out. It's fine. And I really do think having a future version of myself with the traits of the people that I admire has been a big benefit for me. It really has. I really think about that stuff a lot. Like I watch what the other people who I do admire do, and I go, how would they do it? How can future me, who would do those traits, do that too? That's me. That's how it helps me to get past a lot of the inner demons that slow me down. As far as the insecurity part to it, I think the only thing that really creeps in on that now is just, I think it's the expectation that it should be doing more than it's doing. Like things should go faster. I think that's where I see people mess up the most. Everybody wants something to be instant, and so it's not. It's not usually that way. What did I do on this couch to make it so I feel like I'm at the bottom of the floor?
I don't know.
I'm sinking all the way. It's this heavy dog.
I'm not sure what's happening.
But yeah, that's an easy way to mask up, or even just to explain a lot of hurt and pain. I think it's a lot of.
Yeah, so what happens then when you find these things kind of creeping back in, now that you're at a point in your life where you have moved forward or been on this journey now for a while? Like, how do you deal with those things? Because insecurities, as much as sometimes we want to get rid of them, sometimes they find a weird way of creeping back in. Sometimes when there's a trigger for those certain moments that make you remember or remind you of something, or something someone says kind of brings you back to a certain moment. So when those things happen, then how do you handle that? How do you continue to move forward and not let that take over?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think because that's a lot. That was kind of a lot in that question. Like one of the things is the identification of an insecurity is tricky, and I think the thing that's tricky about an insecurity is that an insecurity calls itself something nice. Like an insecurity says, "I'm protecting you. This is for safety. This is to make you so. You'll be better with this. I need to be here for you. I need to be there for you. I need to." Insecurity says like nice guy words and does bad guy things. Like, oh no, you don't want to hang out with anybody today because they might hurt you. I'll keep you safe. Stay away from everybody. So then you start isolating or being away from people because you're afraid of what might happen. But insecurity that makes you afraid, it's calling itself kindness and nice and looking out for you. And that's where it gets weird when like it may even manifest itself as standard. You know, a lot of my insecurities now that would creep up would be, I'm never going to have that happen to me again. My standard is higher than what that is. And that's where I think a lot of my insecurities are manifested now, where I've been treated poorly before. When that red flag comes up, I'm going to attack that. You will not treat me that way again. You know, and so, you as a person who's even doing the smallest amount of what somebody else used to do, I'll go, don't you dare treat me that way. Because that way I've seen where that goes. Don't treat me that way. And all of the red flags and all the defenses go up because you're afraid of repeating history in a way that somebody wants to hurt you.
Absolutely.
But it calls itself safety. It calls itself defense. It calls itself
Guard yourself for protection.
Protection, yeah. It uses these beautiful words that you want to have in your life. Security. It uses these words to make it so that you don't really face or understand what it is. It's more like close yourself off and keep everything away from you because you're going to get hurt again and I have to keep you safe. But really, it just blocks you from all the good stuff that's happening. Mm-hmm. Insecurities is a tricky thing.
It's very tricky.
Yeah. I mean, as far as right now, my awareness at least gives me the choice. I really do believe that you choose your emotions when they come up. Like, you choose what you do. Like, you may have
You choose how you deal with them. I don't think you always choose your emotion, but you choose how to deal with them.
I feel like emotional intelligence is a skill that you practice.
It absolutely is. Yes, it absolutely is.
I believe that people don't practice.
I agree. I agree with that.
One thing I noticed is, look at this. Look at how many people are still on right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody jumped on it first. It seems like the more I talk, the less people want to hear it.
Maybe they can't hear you.
You really think they can't hear me?
No, I think they can hear you.
The microphone's
right here. I know. Maybe because I'm always yelling. I always feel like you're whispering and you're like, there's 2 mics. Why are you yelling? And I'm like, because I'm yelling all the way to Michigan.
Yeah, they need to hear you.
No, you're doing great. Don't be insecure about that.
Well, I mean, that's where it comes. That's where the stuff comes in. Here's where things start creeping in. You start watching the reaction.
Second guessing yourself.
And then it all starts. And that's what it looks like. It starts
Absolutely.
Looking like,
of course.
Well, if I spread my heart on the table and I say this is the stuff that I've struggled with and stuff that I've worked through, and everybody tunes out, then you start making up things in your head. You know, this is an example of an insecurity. You know, like, well, the more that I talk, the less anybody seems responding and the less people seem to watch. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. You know, and you start making up answers for your head. So without anybody even saying anything, you make up answers. Well, maybe people don't like the way I talk. Maybe it's what I'm saying isn't good. Maybe I'm not really that good at this. Maybe there's no benefit to what I'm saying. Maybe Wine Wednesday is a waste of time. Maybe this isn't helping anybody. Well, these are all things I didn't even ask anybody. I just started making up answers.
Right. And also having someone in your life that's going to support you and be like, stop with that nonsense. We're, you're going down the right path. I think the mind does start playing tricks on us. And even though we don't say it out loud, what we tell ourselves internally is what we become. It naturally is. And so when you find these insecurities or these things that maybe you're not even saying out loud, that you only keep to yourself, because one thing I find is people don't talk about their insecurities that much. No one raises their hand real high and says, you know what? I'm insecure about the way I look, or I'm insecure about trusting someone, or I'm insecure, whatever the case is. People are not quick to share those things, because then it becomes you're being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there to get hurt. And, speaking from experience with insecurities, I am someone that loved to pile those down in a big mountain, and I cover it up.
Yeah. And
I keep them safe. But in the meantime, people trying to come into my life, I'm like, nope, not going to happen. You're not going to let you get too close to me, because you're going to hurt me. Or I'm not going to be good enough for you. And I struggled with that for a very long time. Especially like after my marriage too ended, it was very much so like, maybe I'm not good enough. Every man that I've had in my life has left. Mm-hmm. And so what's wrong with me, right? And you can go down this whole path of poor me, or I'm not good enough. And as much as I say it, like, I know I'm good enough. I know that I'm okay. You can say all the right things, but when you really take you really take inventory of the way you really feel, there is a part of me that was still hiding in the back of my mind thinking, maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I wasn't a good wife. Maybe I wasn't, and the laundry list of things, right? Mm-hmm. And so now getting out of that situation, now bringing someone new into the program, I'm like, nope, same thing as him, right? Red flags everywhere. Like, nope, he used to do that, so you must be doing that. And everything became a trigger. And one thing that I realized is rather than justifying why I would be acting a certain way because of these triggers, I was now expecting someone else to change their ways for me to feel better and more secure about things. And I think that was a big learning moment for me when it came to insecurities.
How often does that ever work out?
It doesn't, because one thing I realized is that when there are red flags, when I'm looking for something specific, you will always find it, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put things out there that aren't even out there to make a fight, one thing I have been known for is I will push you away before you push me away, so that way I stay safe. And you can't hurt me, I'm going to hurt you first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the story of every relationship that I've pretty much had. Except for my marriage, I didn't really think that. But looking back, it was, I'll hurt you before you hurt me. Like, I'm gonna leave you before you leave me, because that's what I grew up knowing. My dad left when I was a kid, and it does stem from that. So that hurt so bad, and I didn't even realize it until I was older, that I was never gonna let another man leave. And every relationship that I've ever had, I've always left. I've always been the one to say, I'm done. Or if things started going wrong or going sideways, I'd be like, see you later, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it had to be definitely a personal growth moment for me to understand that of what I was doing. And it was a huge wake-up call, because that's not how I want to live my life. That's not even how I perceived myself to be. But it sure was. It's who I was.
The reality of inventory is not always the way we want that to be.
Yeah.
Jeff Bagwell, I want to hear what you mean by this, because I think that you're right where you said insecurity isn't always pain. Shame is a huge part as well. I would like to hear your example, because you might be onto a really good topic there, and I'd like to hear where you're going with that. And so that's a good point. And you're right. I think that you've said a lot of things, especially growing up. Identifying where your insecurity comes from is a very difficult process. To say that it came from my dad leaving, this is why I do these things, it's profound to say both ways, because it's two realizations. One, a thing happened to create it, but two, that's why I do these things means I'm the one doing these things, which gives you your choice. The thing already happened, but how you choose to handle it is always your option. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a good point that you made there. That was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Thank
so
you.
Cheers on that. Cheers to that. And if you guys haven't noticed yet, there's a lot of guts getting put on the table on this one. I appreciate the support for all of you too, saying like, hey, Facebook froze, probably wasn't you, or like things like that, because it's easy for us to watch when like 20 people are on this, and then 20 goes to 2 within a couple minutes of you having a conversation about what's important in your life that you've gone through. It's interesting to watch. So thank you guys for the support of saying, maybe you're hitting too close to home, they can't handle it. So I understand.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so it's there's a lot in this one, but I do want to hear more from you guys. I think that's important, because we were talking a lot about the way you solve your insecurities, and obviously things like identifying what it is through the bullshit name that it gives itself. Those are a big deal. Mm-hmm. Being able to go like, my security is actually the asshole that keeps me from getting close to anybody. And that's what it does. Your insecurity is the thing that sabotages relationships.
Absolutely.
But it's called protection.
Complete safety.
Yeah, it keeps you safe, but what you're doing is destroying your relationships.
That's all I did. And up until, honestly, you guys, like a couple months ago when Rick and I were having a conversation, I had to write things down. You guys have heard me talk about this before. If I continue the life that I lead with insecurities or, not being confident, what does that life look like for me? Exactly what he said. I have no real relationships. I can't get close to anybody. Mm-hmm. That's not the life that I want for myself. And truly making that list in comparing my two lives side by side, it was probably one of the best things that I did for myself, because on a daily basis I remind myself, if you see a trigger, like, what life do you want to lead? Like, worrying about every little thing or letting some things go. That's also hard. I choose to do the other. Not every day is easy. I still have my moments, but they're definitely not as destructive to myself as they used to be. And I try to find a way to look at it in a more positive light. So.
How's that working out for you?
It's great.
Is it good so far?
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there. Mom, I see you saying some stuff. You feel free to clarify if you want to. This may end up turning into a thing where we pull you onto a video to have a conversation, which is pretty freaking intense.
Yeah.
Before you get excited, understand the topic that she's talking about is one of her biggest insecurities, and it's a very difficult topic to get into. So that's up to you. If you really want to get into that type of topic, it may help a lot of people out. It is a pretty deep and powerful and intimate moment. It is a conversation if you want to have it, okay, but I by no means say that we need to do that. We need to get into that conversation. But I mean, if you want me to tell the story, tell us to do the drink emoji, because it'll probably take a drink or so for us to get going on that one.
Yeah. But I think your mom is such a perfect example. Everyone in their life, no one's life is perfect. We learn as we go along. We didn't always make the best decisions. I know I haven't either. But people are so quick to judge sometimes. It's not their place to.
Well,
no, it's not.
People do what they're going to do
They can do what they want, but I guarantee if you take inventory of someone else's life that's so quick to judge, sometimes it wouldn't be much better. So that's all I'm saying. So when people want to share, I think it's such a beautiful thing and such a way to show strength, because so many people don't do it. So that's all I was saying.
Okay. All right. Well, Mom, I see you pushing for it. Okay. So.
Yeah. It's great.
Shoot. All right. This story goes back to when I was in 5th grade, and I still remember. So, growing up, our household was very unstable. My dad was a very abusive person. He was very abusive to my mom. He was abusive to me. And it was a very emotionally and physically unstable household. And I still remember it. A lot of my issues stem from the upbringing. A lot of the people that I dated in my life stemmed from the upbringing of this, of watching how my dad was to my mom, how violent the situation was, how volatile everything was. And, even from then, when I got older and stronger, I would always try and date people who were broken, because I always wanted to save my mom. And that's something with me that I knew even from a little kid. I wasn't strong enough at the time to be able to do anything to protect her or save her, and it was too much. And so I remember going to school. I still remember the day. I remember my mom was still in bed, and I remember saying goodbye, and I got my stuff ready for school, and I left for school, and then came back, and my dad was having like a breakdown, saying like everything's gone, she's gone, everything's gone. And I remember I was like 10 years old, so I didn't have an understanding of what was going on. I didn't know why my dad was sitting there talking. It was the only time and the first time I'd ever seen my dad cry. I didn't understand anything at the moment. I was 10, and I'm not saying that means 10-year-olds are stupid. It just means like they don't have the cognitive awareness to say I understand what's going on. So what happened was my mom was in such a dark place from how much abuse my dad put on her that she left, and she went out to California, and I didn't know what happened at the time. This was a very crazy time in our life, because my dad was also in such a dark place that he sheltered us from what the actual truth was of the situation. And my mom left me, my sister, and my brother. My sister was 9, my brother was 5, and at that time he was 4 or 5. I think, let's see, 6 years. I think he was 4 or 5. And around then, it was such a difficult time because she was in a dark place and she had left. And what we were told was she just left us. She just left. They were like, Mom's just done. She's left. She went to California to go party with her cousins and her friends. She was to go party and live the rock star life. She didn't want you. And that was a story that we were told. And the truth of it was, later on I found that my mom was in such a dark place that she left us because she was going to take her own life and she couldn't deal with the situation for what had happened to her, what she'd done with us when she left. There was so much to it that it was too intense to keep going. And that wasn't the part of the story we were told. We were told that she was living a rock star life and partying hard in California, when really it was a much darker and sadder story than what the truths that we were told were. And so she would write us letters and do phone calls and try and get in touch with us, and my dad wouldn't let us see the letters and would hang up every time that she would call. So we were under the impression that my mom never even reached out. She was too busy partying. And I don't remember the exact time frame, maybe a year and a half later, when my mom came back, and she'd gone through a lot of the tough inner battles that you have to go through to go from like being suicidal to being strong enough to come back and take over things. It was tough because my brother and sister didn't care. They just wanted to be with Mom. And when she came back, they were like, I'm going back with Mom. I'm going to be with Mom. And I didn't. I was like, she left to go party. I wasn't important enough. At the time, I didn't know all the answers. I didn't know the reasons. I only knew the propaganda that was given to me. And so from that spawned a whole bunch of I guess like neglect and abandonment stuff that would come with that. My mom didn't want me. She left because she wanted to go have fun, and fun was more fun than me. And it was. I was fucking 10, so I guess it makes sense. But it's hard to understand in that moment what that means. Like the cognitive awareness of when you're a young kid like that, it wasn't high. And so it wasn't until I could hear the stories later of what really happened that you could start piecing the things together. And I think that's where the concept of everything is a choice started to come into play, because I know that if I would have had different information, maybe I would have made different choices. And if my mom would have had different information, she would have made different choices. And my dad, if he would have had different information or perspective, he would have made different choices. And I think that was one of the really hard times for everybody. My sister, my brother, I think there's issues that still manifest to this day from some of that stuff, from the way my dad handled it to what happened with my mom. And I even know, with my mom, if everything was to happen again, that when she left to California, it would be a very different ride if she got to do it again, because there'd be 3 kids in the car. And I know that. I know that now, but I think all of us were struggling with it at the time. So I think that a lot of my insecurities came from, my dad being completely detached, abusive, physically abusive, emotionally. And then when my mom left, that compounded those things. When she left, my dad did an emotional shutdown. And then when he shut down, he wasn't interacting at all anymore, which created the defense mechanisms that all of us kids created. I did a thing where I did an emotional shut off. That was my safe place, my insecurities and all those things. I didn't want to face any of the pain that was happening as a kid. And so I definitely, I shut it all down. I turned into almost like a robot for a while, for a few years. I shut it down because it was such an overwhelming amount of pain that my young body didn't know how to deal with all of it, so I shut it all off. My sister was at a volatile age. When you're 9, 10 years old, you need to have mom's influence. And she struggled, I think, probably the worst, because Dad shut it off, and so he wasn't giving her attention, and Mom wasn't there. And she didn't get attention unless she got in trouble. And so she started learning that the only way you notice that I exist is by doing bad things, and bad things gives me attention, and I need you to know that I exist. And so she started doing more and more bad things, and the bad things gave her attention. The problem is that programming at that age didn't quit, and she continued to make massive, terrible decisions over and over again in order to get attention. And this led into all of the relationships that she would have, and the way that she would treat people, and the friendships that she would have and take advantage of, and that would leave her, and it was a cycle of destruction. And my brother, gosh, at 3 and 4 years old, I still remember seeing pictures, and still remember him when we went on trips and stuff. He was just sad. He was just a sad little kid, because everything inside of his programming knew that Mom wasn't there, and he just didn't interact well, and he didn't. And so all of us had to deal with a whole different set of stuff from just like these decisions that the parents made. And in hindsight now, I know that everybody did the best that they could do. At the time, my dad was doing what he knew. That was his best. We didn't die. That was his goal, was to make sure that we could survive. It wasn't the best way to deal with the stages of a growing child, but I think that everybody tried to do their best. I think all parents try to do their best. It doesn't always mean it's great. It just means I think everybody tries to do their best. And it was a tough moment to be able to understand. And later on, when I would hear what the other side of the story was from my mom's side, to say, like, I know what happened on the other side of things, which made it so now you're able to say, now I can make decisions differently, or I can find closure, or I can say I forgive you, or can move past that, or I can say I'm stronger now because. And those are where a lot of those things came from, because it was probably the darkest time that all of us had ever had, even to this point. Anything from rejections or pain, obviously, I grew up in a hostile environment. I would just get in fights all the time. I would always fight people, and I wasn't even a big dude. I wasn't a big guy, a big muscle head or nothing. I would just fight everybody. I got in a lot of fights. Fights nobody even knew about. There's a lot of people in my family who don't even know about most of the fights. They see the ones I lost. I didn't win a lot. I would win some, but I wouldn't win all of them. And so they see me come home with bloody noses and beat up, but it is what it is.
First of all, I'm super proud of you for sharing that story, because I know sometimes you have challenges with opening up, and thank you, Elaine, for allowing him to also share that too. It's a great story to be able to share with people, and I think, to your point, as parents, we try to do the best we can. Sometimes that's what we do, and I think that, again, I'm proud of you for sharing it, but also, and Elaine, I know you know this, but because he's your son, but to have a man go through everything that you went through, and everything that you've gone through to make you the complete opposite of who you've turned out to be, I truly am so proud of you, because you truly are one of the most amazing men that I've ever met in my life. And I'm not going to cry, but it truly is so, coming from such a tough childhood to just being so loving and supportive, and my biggest cheerleader, and I see him with other people, and you have so much love to give. And there's so many people out there that go through stuff like you went through, and just continue the cycle, and have kids and continue it, and the cycle never stops. But for you you just have so much love in your heart. You really do. And every day I see you getting so much stronger with that. And it's a beautiful thing. So to Elaine that's on here, and to Ray, because I know how much you look up to him too, thank you for allowing him to share that story tonight. It's a pretty big deal, and you have a great son. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a tough one, and it's one I don't always want to talk about, but it's a reality to what it is, and it did shape a lot of things, and I think in the last few years it's definitely opened me up too. I think the last couple of years has been a really big growth period to recognize how much I really do love people, and I love people quickly and I love people hard, and I know social media is not my biggest outlet on things, so I'll encourage people and I'll share with people, but I know that quality time is my love language. It's the way that I show it, and I try to give my time to as many of you as I can, and that's the way that I show that I care about you. And so I know that a lot of you have had phone calls with me. I know a lot of you have sat down and face to face and had conversations with me, and the people who have spent time with me know that when I'm talking to you, I really give a shit. I'm not just saying stuff to get past it. I'm not trying to get through the moment, or I need you to pay me. I think Andrea and we talked about some of the stuff that we've just kind of given away because we love people, and it's such a tricky balance on that. But we just want everyone to do well. We just want you to see what we can see, and I care so fucking much about all of you guys, all of you. You guys, we do anything that we can to make it so that it works for you, and a lot of times the hardest struggle that we have is we see the insecurities or the things that you've built up for yourself or the thing that fucks you the most. And it's so frustrating when you love somebody and you want somebody to do so good, and you just watch them self-sabotage, and you have to race to acceptance and go, it's part of their journey. It's part of them going through what they have to go through. And that's what all of us have to do. The thing that my mom went through, the things my dad went through, the things that I went through, this is part of the journey you have to go through, and there's got to be a reason why. And I think about the things, I watched Tony Robbins say it, if my dad wasn't the hard-ass asshole that he was, if my mom didn't go through the things that she went through to have to handle things the way that she did, if she didn't leave and my dad was present and supportive and positive and wasn't so fucking physical, whenever he was angry about stuff, if that wasn't the case, what kind of a person would I be today? And I don't think that I'd be as strong today as I am, because, anybody who's around me, when they see shit hit the fan, I go, looks like we're wearing shit today, instead of I can't deal with what's going on. I'm good thing I wore a brown shirt. You can't really see the shit hit the fan, I think that's where everything is a choice comes from, is if you don't go through tough things, it's hard to tell people to go through tough things. Right. And I think that's something that I appreciate so much from all of you, is because everybody goes through their struggles on a daily basis, and people reach out to us. I think almost every day I've talked to somebody who's working through something. And that's the beauty of everything as a choice, is I believe that the awareness is a skill, and the skills that you train yourself to do gives you your choices to make a change on your things. And that's something that people don't talk about. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about that. We talk about weather, we talk about the good stuff, we take fake ass pictures on Instagram. And nobody,
show the good life.
And nobody really talks about, I don't know how to communicate with my spouse. I don't know how to overcome my insecurity. I don't know how to deal with what happened to me when I was a kid. I don't know what happened when I was attacked by somebody. I don't know how to deal with, we've seen everything from physical abuse to rape to abandonment to, loss of loved ones. We've seen, little kids die to, parents die. We've worked with people on all kinds of stuff, and I think that the common denominator is that people have more strength and more ability than we give each other credit for, more than we talk about. Nobody talks about it.
No, right?
Nobody talks about it. You know, there's always condolences, which are bullshit. There's always insincere sorry that happened. You know, oh, take all the time you need. You know, and we may think that we care, but really we say the sentences and then go on with our day because we got bills to pay and people to take care of. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, unless you believe there's something wrong with that. But that's a choice. But I think that we all go through these things, and it's really just having anybody else go, hey, did you know that I love you and believe in you? Did you know that I care about you? And I think that's where my struggle with standards comes from too, is because I love you guys so fucking much, all of you guys. And I'll invest in you guys, you know, and I'll tell you, like Kelly, I'll go out of my way to make sure that you have whatever you need to be successful for you started in the Warrior Week, we've talked about it, and I'm like, you got to start at the beginning. I love your tenacity, but start at the beginning and then you're ready for this thing after a few weeks. I believe in you. Let's go. I'll change it over and I'll take care of you the next couple months. You're good. Don't worry about it. Because I want you to be successful. I want you to win. Jinju, you go through roller coasters all the time, and I don't know where you're going to be at any given moment, and I wait for you to reach out to go, hey Rick, I'm struggling. I go, tell me about your thing, and I'll listen and I'll help you work through it. But I think that you're a warrior ninja, and so when I watch you when you're level 20 struggle on level 1 shit, I'm like, what are you doing? You're a ninja. Kick that thing in the ass. Like, stop being silly. You know, Ben Pearson, you've got more excuses available to you than anybody I know. And then you just overcome them. And like, I love that we'll message each other every day. You know, we send this stuff to each other every day. We encourage each other on a daily basis. And I appreciate for how many people reach out to me and say that Ben reaches out to me too. You really are like the embodiment of somebody who can make such a difference in this world.
Absolutely.
And I believe with you. I believe in you with all my heart.
Absolutely.
Eric Randall, I want so much good for you. I really do. I can't think of anybody that I would want more good stuff to happen for. And I believe in you with all my fucking heart. And then I think you get in your way more than any human being I've ever met. And I wish that you wouldn't. I just want you to stick to your guns, because if you stick to this, you stick to the food truck, your family and all of the Jam fam will have a better life. And I just want Stephanie and the kids to be great. I want you to be great. And I just want all of us to stick to our guns, to kick ass as a team. Like, I believe in us so damn much. Jeff, I want to hang out with you.
Right, when can we meet?
I want to hang out. You're down the damn road. Like, I want to hang out with you.
Put your address up, we're coming over.
Don't do it on this, but send us your address. Because I don't know what people would end up showing up watching this video tomorrow.
Well, let's find out.
Oh, God. So, it's just, there's so much stuff that we go through as human beings, and I think that that's where it comes down to for me. Everything turns into options. It just turns into options. Eddie, I can't believe you made it this far in the video, dude. I love you, man. Eddie is one of the people. He informed me on something that was a lesson that stuck with me so strong. And I remember it was years ago, we talked about this, where he said, you're going to have your top 5. Your 5 people that are your ride or die people. You know, when the shit hits the fan, this person will show up for you. And Eddie is one of my 5. Like, I know that if I ever end up in a situation where I'm like, I need help, I know that he is one of the people that I could count on. I remember when I moved from Virginia to Indiana, he had somebody else run his shop. He owns Vivid Vapes in Roanoke, Virginia. And the place is great. I love spending time there. And you guys just buy some stuff from his place because it's awesome. But I remember he was a guy like, somebody else run the shop, and I'll drive 9 hours with you back and forth in a truck to help you unload your things into a new place. Nobody else did that. Mm-hmm. And so there's people like that like, when I say that I love people, like, I truly love that guy. And if he ever called me like, Rick, I just need you to help me with this thing, or what can you do, or hey, what's your advice? that's one of the people that I would drop things for.
Yeah, and
So-
he's one of those people that you meet, and I've only met him once, but you just know, like, they're good people, good soul, you know, and just so much good to offer the world. So I'm glad that you have him as one of your top 5 for sure, because he's great.
Mm-hmm. I can't see all the stuff you said though. Ugh. I'm gonna make another drink here. Jeez. Oh, he wrote a lot. All right, he said, a lot of this stems from how society reacts to people when they open up about real life shit. People don't like to talk about the things that are weighing on them for fear of being the one to put a damper on the mood or people around you. True. So the small talk bullshit, like weather and such, is a go-to topic because they know that it's a safer opinion of being open and possibly scaring off the people around them, unfortunately. And you're right, we always try to be accepted. We try so hard to be accepted into the group, and that's the thing that we found, especially in this year, that vulnerability isn't weakness. Vulnerability is courage. And when somebody opens up their entire soul to somebody, everyone goes like, damn, you're strong. I could never be as strong as you.
Yeah.
When really you're going, this is about as weak as I get.
Yeah.
You know, but we started realizing that idea of weakness, or that idea of opening yourself up vulnerability-wise, is courage. And it does take courage to be able to do that kind of stuff.
It does. And when you do, people find you so much more relatable, because guess what? They also go through shit too. Like, that's just the thing. Like, everyone's going through so much. Yeah. He'd like you to read his comment before. Did you see that?
Oh, geez, no, I didn't. Sorry.
Right there.
I see Jeff's.
Go down more. There it is.
Oh, he's got a big one. Oh, wow.
Oh, those are good.
All right, he says, okay, here's a question. There's a self-sabotage due to your insecurities, which is the mountain, which you speak of, to help protect everyone else. It says everyone else from your pile of bullshit. Then there's a projection, which it's so hard to see from here. It's hard. I gotta try and get closer. Then there is projection, which is when you belittle others to make yourself feel less secure, but harms others in the process. And then there is the less you care, the happier you'll be mindset, which will lead to one to become cold and shut off from the true connection with others because of the lack of the give a damn, if you will. What do you think the most damaging approach to finding the core to the problem is when dealing with the insecurities, and why? What do you think the most damaging approach to finding the core of the problem when dealing with insecurities, and why? What do you think the core is? I think the core, well, I think for almost all of those things, the core that comes to mind for me when it comes to sabotage, when it comes to being fake, when it comes to not opening up, when it comes to the less you care, the happier you'll be, it all still stems from self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Everything is still, all the things in my head still say, I doubt something in myself is going to measure up, so I have to smoke screen it, I have to divert it, I have to distract it, I have to not have you focus on the truth, and I'll have you smoke and mirrors. So while I'm switching the card here, I'm going to have you look at the spirit fingers. You know, and so I think that is mostly what we do. And a lot of the times when I talk to people and I have one-on-one conversations, I'm like, listen, I am aware that you are a magician at reading the pamphlet that says all the right answers. You don't do any of that shit, but I know that you know the correct terminology to read off, and people are very, very good at keeping you off their trail. I remember talking to certain people and I said, you are a master of dancing, because you say all of the words that keep me off your trail. oh, gotta pay the bills, gotta take care of my family, gotta do all these things. And these are the things that you say to keep you off of, I'm fucking terrified of my own shadow. Gotta pay the bills though. Do you disagree with paying the bills? And you're like, no, you still pay the bills. Can we get back to the scared of your shadow part?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta take care of my family. Do you agree with taking care of your family? You're like, yeah, the family, but can we get back to your thing? Oh, I do know I gotta deal with that because life is hard, right? Anyways, let's go get biscuits. And you're like, can we go back to why life is hard and skip the biscuits?
Right.
Like, we get so good at saying like that. I do know I gotta face my own fears and overcome my own obstacles.
Stay so busy so you don't have to face it. Yeah.
You're saying the right words, but you're not doing a single action to believe in what you are.
Right.
So how do you deal with these insecurities? What is the core of the problem? It's your self-doubt. And I believe that dealing with insecurities and dealing with the things that you're going through is going to come down to one thing, and it's one skill, and it's a skill that we practice in the Everything is a Choice program. It is a skill. It is a damn skill. And it is your level of awareness. It is just your ability to go, I'm in a situation right now that I get to make choices in. We have so many knee-jerk reactions that we create from our childhood, from relationships we've been in, from life that's happened to us, from all of the things that go on around us, from work, from friends, from family, from parents, from kids, from all these things that happen. We have a knee-jerk reaction to say, here's my answer, I'm not thinking about it, I don't know my choices. Nope, I did it, I have to take care of my kids, gotta take care of my kids. And you go like, well, did you take care of yourself today? Right. Gotta take care of my kids. Should I not love my kids? Should I not love my kids? And you go, stop being dramatic. You took your kid to soccer practice for 2 hours, and you sat there for 2 hours and didn't do shit. Don't tell us you were busy taking them to practice. I didn't do my mile or do any exercise today because I took my kids to soccer practice. Right. There's a track around the field. Like, you make up so much bullshit that you'll tell everybody else, but you know, yeah. The truth is that you're just trying to hide from your real shit. Yeah. I do it, she does it, you do it, your real shit's right in front of you, but you do all these distracting things to try to get around, and if somebody tries to come in even for 1 second, you'll give them your maximum bullshit to get away from that thing, and they'll go, well, is it because you're afraid of doing that? You go, how about I'm afraid of paying for lunch? How about you get lunch? Let's go get pizza. You know, like, we'll skip the thing quickly, and we become masters of getting away from our own shit.
And if you ever want to know what your thing is and you may not be, you may be unsure, sign up for mindset training because he'll be able to pinpoint it.
When I talk one-on-one, it's pretty amazing how quickly we get into it.
Yeah.
We do really well.
Yeah.
The mindset training is mind-blowing. Tony Flores, welcome on.
Hey, buddy.
I do want to say something, taking some of your drink.
Yeah. I was going to say something about Tony, but go ahead.
Tony Flores, I do want to say something, and Andrea mentioned this morning too. You and your guys said you're joining some mindset training. We are going to do something special for you guys. We talked about this today because everybody who's stuck to mindset training, the people who have stuck to mindset training have all been women.
Yeah.
We have a group of women every Tuesday, and the group of women all get together and we get into shit. We get into it. Mm-hmm. And we watch breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. We watch growth and growth and growth. We see so much progress. But I don't think it's the same place for men and for women. No,
it's not. It definitely is not. Mm-hmm. And so one thing we talked about this morning was, we really do need a mindset group for just men.
Yeah.
For men, coming from this guy, it is needed. There's multiple different things that are kind of falling into the universe lately, kind of speaking this. Mm-hmm. And it is something that's needed.
There's not enough places for guys.
There really isn't. And so that will be coming very soon. We'll be posting about it, but there will be a mindset training for just men to be able to have a place Rick will start the mindset training series for men. So please share. And if you guys are interested, it's definitely highly recommended. It will be very powerful.
Yeah.
So
it'll be no bullshit. It's going to be strong. It's going to be to the point. It's going to be helpful. And you can open up. There's no judgments, none of that stuff. We're going to be able to be warriors together. And it's important for us to be able to have that camaraderie, be a unit, and be strong together. And it's different for girls than it is for guys. And so, Tony, if you get your guys to sign up, let's all of us work together on stuff. I'd love to apply my book. I would love to apply the things to all of you guys to be able to help all of us grow together as strong as we can possibly get, because iron sharpens iron, and all of us together will get stronger, and that's the point of all of it. So whether guys are going through divorce, going through job change, recognizing change, what's your strength, what's your power, take inventory on your stuff, being able to figure out where do you want to go from here, what do you really truly want. You know, we think it's one thing, but then when you get into your shit, almost every guy I've worked with, it ends up being something different than what you thought it was.
Yeah, and I will say, you know, going through the mindset training, but also hear other men talking too. You know, I think sometimes it's very easy to see things as a woman. I think that's the opinion.
Yeah.
But one thing that's really opened my eyes is how much men can also, and they can also really hurt too. And I think that I was always aware of that, but more now than ever before. So.
Yeah. So Tony, get the guys together. Let's all get signed up. The price is going to shoot up a lot starting next month. So you guys sign in. Anybody who's already a part of the stuff that signs up now, anybody who's part of our things that we have now, I will not jack your prices. Your prices will stay your prices. I'm not going to change anything for the people who already have committed and been a part of it. But anybody from beyond this point, the prices have to go up. We've been checking the market on the people who do what we do, and they don't do it as well as we do, and they charge 4 times more than we do. And we need to stay competitive and make sense for how much time and effort and energy that we put into this stuff. So I would recommend all of you guys say, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this, because I will keep your pricing the same. I just will. I want people to do well, but there's got to be some skin in the game. There just has to be. So tell your boys, get them involved. We want to make something awesome for you guys. So Eddie, thank you for being on here. Jeff, thank you for being on here. You guys have made this video great. And this was a big video. Mom, thank you for being on this. Ray, thank you for being on this. This is a big video and stuff. I know we're an hour in on this, and we're very thankful for all the time. I think that if we're going to I'll put a poll out tomorrow, and I want to put a couple topics out for people to vote on for the next Wine Wednesday. I know that I talked my ass off on this one.
That's good.
But if you guys want us to continue through Insecurities next week, and maybe have Andrea talk more than me.
No, you did great.
Then you guys can vote on it. We'll give you a couple other topics that we have on mind too, and then let's go ahead and have your opinions when we put a poll up on what you think the next Wine Wednesday should be. But this was a pretty deep one. This one got hot and heavy pretty quick.
Yeah, that's good. Proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mama. Thank you for all the people who are part of this. Thank you, everybody, on Just a Mile a Day, and I'm very proud, and I love all of you. Really, truly do. And anybody who's gotten around me knows that I'm not bullshitting. They know that I would bleed for all of you. And some of you I have. So, you got any closing thoughts? This was a lot. We talked about a lot of stuff. You got some closing thoughts for today? This is our hour in. You got anything you want to share?
I think if we do continue this next week, be ready to share. If you want, always feel free to reach out to us if you guys need anything. And thanks for being on with us tonight. We appreciate it.
I think I need a refill on this thing.
I think maybe.
All right, for all of you guys who spent time with us on this Tuesday, spent an hour with us, we truly are grateful. I really am so happy to have you in our lives. We love seeing the things that you guys are doing. I love seeing you accomplish new things. I love watching the growth that you do. But not only that, I hope you guys caught Candy Billman's post. She's stepping down from Recognition Warrior, so I need you guys fighting for top spot on who's going to be the biggest Recognition Warrior next week. I want to see who that's going to be, so it could be you. So we want to shout you out. So thank you guys for the time you spent here. We look forward to seeing you guys later, and you'll see our poll up tomorrow. I can't wait to have your votes on what the next Wine Wednesday should be. For those of you who haven't done it yet, get off the jam couch.
And do the jam thing.
Down right, guys.
Bye, guys.
I'm gonna drink.